All right, guys, so I've actually already started this problem, but then the announcements came on and started saying everyone's name, so I had to delete that video. So I'm going to walk you through the steps on how I got to where I am so far. First, it tells me to use Pascal's triangle. In order to use Pascal's triangle, we need to know how to create it on our sheet of paper. Our tree will always have ones on either side. And if you can see, it is a reflection. We have 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. But the way that it's created is you start with 1, 1, 1. Then you add those together to get 2. Add these together to get 3. Add these together to get 3. Add these together to get 4. Add these together to get 6. And so on. So we could go. So this down here would be, right, 15. So, and if it's telling us that we are trying to expand to the fourth, that means we will start where the first number after 1 is 4. You will always have one more coefficient than your exponent. Again, these are going to represent the coefficients of our expansion. So, there we are. 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. I wrote them vertically so I could write everything beside each coefficient. From there, we take our first term, which is 2x, and we start at the fourth, and we go in descending order. 2x to the fourth will go here. 2x to the third, 2x squared, 2x to the first, 2x to the 0. Then we'll take our second term, and we will go starting at 0 up to 4. So again, these exponents need to add up to be 4. So 4 plus 0, 4. 3 plus 1, 4. 2 plus 2, 4. They need to always add up to that original exponent that they had. So I'm going to go in ascending order. Descending, ascending. Now, if you don't want to mess with the negatives, you don't have to. You can just remember that order where it's going to be the first term is positive, the second term is negative, so you'll have your first thing be a minus, then a plus, then a minus, then a plus. Or you can do it this way, just remembering to put your negatives in your calculator. So, once I have everything written out, now I just need to find each piece and put it all together. I know anything to the 0 is just 1. So really, this piece right here, let me get a color, is just multiplying by 1. So this whole thing is just a 1. So 1 times 1 times 2x to the fourth. 2x to the fourth. Quick little mini lesson on the back of this Post-it. That's saying 2 times x, we agree that 2x is 2 times x, times 2 times x, times 2 times x, times 2 times x. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 to the fourth, and we have x to the fourth as well. So when you have things being multiplied, raised to the power, that power is kind of distributed to those. So I've got 2 to the fourth, x to the fourth. Now I'll grab my calculator, and 2 to the fourth is 16. So I've got 16 times x to the fourth times 1 gives me 16x to the fourth. Then I have 4 times 2 to the third, x to the third, negative 3 to the first, y to the first. So I will start, oh no, okay, here we go. I will have, I'm going to back this up a little bit. Four times 2 to the third times negative 3. I'm always going to put my negative numbers in parentheses. And negative 3 to the first, which is just negative 3. And that gives me negative 96. That x is cubed. That y is to the first. Do you see how we have these exponents also adding up to 4? This was basically y to the 0, y to the first, this would be y squared, and those exponents will add up to be 4. Now, looking at this next piece, I have 6 times 2 squared times negative 3 squared. So 6 times 2 squared times negative 3 squared. And I get 216 216. Can't forget my x squared or my y squared. Then I have 4 times 2 to the first times negative 3 to the, what is it, third. Gives me negative 216. X to the first, y cubed. Then I have 1 times 2 to the 0, or 2x to the 0. So this whole thing is to the 0 power, which means this whole thing is 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. And then we have negative 3 to the 4th, y to the 4th. So negative 3 to the 4th is 81, y to the 4th. So your final answer, all written out, is going to be, let me do a different color so it doesn't all come together. 16x to the 4th minus 96x to the 3rd plus 216x squared y squared minus 216x y to the 3rd plus 81 y to the 4th. That's your final answer. If you did not put your negatives in, if you just left these as 3, you can do that as long as you remember the pattern. This term is positive, then you have a minus, plus, minus, plus. So you've got a positive term, negative term, positive term, negative term. So if you just want to know the pattern, you can do that. Or if you're going to be using your negative 3, then you need to keep your negative 3 in parentheses whenever you're dealing with it, so that you can keep track of if you're going to have a positive or a negative. Now for number 6, we are going to be using Pascal's triangle again. Here it is. We're going to start where the first number is 3 because we are at the exponent 3. So my coefficients are 1, 3, 3, 1. Then I will take my first term and go in descending order starting here. So 8 to the 3rd, 8 squared, 8 to the 1st, 8 to the 0 power. And then I will go with my second term, which is negative x. And again, same thing as before. If you just want to do the pattern, you can. I'll do this one as the pattern so we can see how that'll work out. So I'll have x to the 0, x to the 1st, x squared, x cubed. Now when I multiply everything together, I need to grab my calculator. And I have 8 cubed times 1, x to the 0 is 1. So really it's just 8 cubed, which gives me 512. Then I have 3 times 8 squared times x to the 1st. X to the 1st is just x, so I'll attach an x at the end. And I'll say 8 squared times 3 gives me 192. X, because that x to the 1st. Then I have 3 times 8 to the 1st. So 3 times 8 gives me 24 times x squared. So we've got 24x squared. Keep in mind, even though it's a subtraction, I'm going to do where I see the subtraction and I'm just going to do the pattern rather than having each of these be labeled out with my negative x. So then I've got 8 to the 0, which is just 1, times 1. So 1 times 1 is 1, times x cubed. So if you want to do it that way, you have to make sure you know that we're dealing with subtraction. So your final answer will be 512 minus 192x plus 24x squared minus x cubed. And then technically the way that we write our answers would be in descending order of exponents. So really your answer should be negative x cubed plus 24x squared minus 192x plus 512.